So hello from Green-Mopeds at Strawberry Hill. Today we're going to take this little U Pro from NIU out for a quick ride to see how it feels. Let's go. So the first thing to say is we're riding around in mode 1 right now. As you can see from the dash, it says 12 miles an hour. That speed for a lot of people is quite difficult to actually ride at, and although it's good for saving range, just might end up being impractical, so you might not bother with that. Anyway, so this is a 1200 watt bike. It's the same as the M Plus in that respect. It's still a 50cc equivalent bike, so it's an L1E in electric terms. So it still needs a plate and a license and all the other stuff that you would expect from a motorbike, but it's in a lot smaller frame. So this bike only weighs 59 kilos. That includes a battery that weighs 5.8 kilos. So basically this bike weighs 50 kilos. And one of the ideal uses for it is to put on the back of a camper van or caravan, so that you can take it with you whenever you go on holiday and then use it at that time. Okay. Alright, I'm not sure what's going on there. So yeah, 1200 watt, same as the M Plus, but weighs 10 kilos less. It is a single seater. New also do the Model M, but we're not taking them in the UK. This is a decision by the importer. The M is a single seater, whereas the M Plus is a two-seater. So this is essentially the single seater option if you wanted to go for a new bike here in the UK. It comes in 4 colours. Again, I'm not sure if the blue, which is one of the colours, will be brought in. The other colours are this red one, a white, and then a black with red stripes, which is similar to what you can get on the M Plus and the NGT. Okay, so it's the first thing I guess to notice about it is actually that it is quite small. It's 1.7 meters long, which is nothing really. I'm 1.8 meters long. It's got an all-up carrying capacity of 147 kilos. Okay, so that's including the bike. So that would mean basically a 100 kilo man would be the maximum riding weight, if you like. Something I've noticed also straight away is it doesn't have the noise of the indicators like all the other news. So the sort of bing bong that you get with any other NIU bike, that seems to have gone from this bike. So they're silent indicators, which, you know, not a big issue, but if you're hopping from one to the other like I do, I'm sort of forgetting. It's not the fastest bike off the line, as you've just seen, although it is capable of getting to 228. One of the things that we do on our tests is to take them up a place called Nightingale Lane, which is in Richmond, which is where I'm going right now, just to see how it handles. Obviously, although it's quite a low power, 1200 watt is essentially, you know, 1.5 horsepower. There's nothing to the bike. It's as I said, 59 kilos. So that might work in its favour. Okay, and I certainly would say that I wouldn't worry with mode 1. I can't see a reason to use it. Okay. But you know, it's doing what it says. It's getting to 28, albeit slowly. This isn't a bike that's going to be aimed at commuting. This is a bike that's aimed at, you know, you're in the city and you just want to, you know, poodle around. It's single-seater. The storage under the space is non-existent, really, to be honest. It does have a rear rack on it already, and then you could fit top boxes. I think there's some options for bags as well. It's like saddlebag type things. There's certainly baskets you can get, so you can hang a basket off the front of it and off the back of it. So not top boxes per se, but baskets. I guess there would be the possibility of fitting a top box if you could find a universal bracket that would work with the actual rear rack, because the rear rack is actually solid. There's no gaps in it to put bolts through. So yeah, as I said, it's not meant for long rides. In fact, the range is quoted at between 30 and 40 kilometers. So in real money, that is between 18 and 30 miles. I would probably go towards the bottom end of that range, as I nearly always do. We'll see. We left on 98%, and we'll see what happens when we get back. But you know, this is just a little fun bike for nipping around on. Okay. You still benefit from all of the features of the app. You know, you've still got the tracking, you've still got the checking, route history and all that, and you've also still got an alarm. And one of the things that they've actually added to this bike, which they really should add to the rest, is this ability to lock the wheels electronically. Okay, so when you lock the bike, if you set the alarm, the wheels do not move, or will not move. Okay. So in other words, you can't wheel it off. The alarm will be going. You'll see this on our static review. The alarm actually goes off, and if you try and push the bike forward or back, it will just stop against you. So quite a very useful feature. I imagine it's a side effect of having a hub motor in the wheel itself, so you can actually lock all of that. I presume also that that New will roll that feature out to other bikes in their range, but it's certainly one for this. Part of that, I guess, is that they don't have a physical lock on the front wheel like you get with other bikes. So I have to say, it sort of wants to go if it's given the chance in terms of pickup, which I will try in a minute. As you can see on the dashboard, you've got the fact that it's cloud connected, range, how much charge is left in the battery, whether you're running in eco or full mode, and obviously speed. The battery and motor are still sort of the standard that you get on new, so the motor is still Bosch and the battery is Panasonic. The charging time, because the battery is so light and small, hence the low capacity, the charging time of this says about 3.5 hours, which would be ideal if you were, you know, going somewhere, stopping for a bit of time, and then going on again. Just let this thing go past. certainly would prefer if it had the self-cancelling indicators, which at the time when I first tried them, I actually thought that it wouldn't be any reason to have them because you would always just check anyway, but now I don't have it. I wish I had it. So anyway, so we're just going to take this up a hill in Richmond just to see how we get on. As you can see, it's cruising along quite well, 26 miles an hour. Silently, as they all are with these hub motors. Obviously, it is the maximum speed. You're not going to get over 30. Some other electric bikes, when they are limited to 30, you can sometimes with a full battery, go a few miles over. But this really is its sort of flat out speed. So it will be interesting to see what happens to up the hill. As you can also see, I'm 6'1", so I'm sitting right at the back of the seat right now, and my knees are sort of got enough space. Okay, let's go up here, see what we get up to going up here. Okay, so we happen to stop. See the sort of ability of this bike to keep going. I mean, you don't have any, you can't, go down because it'll just slow down. So we're holding at like 12 miles an hour going up this hill. It does say on the specs that the maximum climbing ability of these bikes is like 15%, so that's 1 in 7. So we are basically at its maximum there. So that wasn't as good as the M Plus, that's for sure. It's essentially a feature of the battery as well as the engine. So the oomph in the battery, if you like, is I think it's 42 amp, maybe a bit less. It's not, you are at the top of its ability. So compared to the other bikes that are around, I mean, it's the lowest cost one that we do. That you can find lower cost ones, but they won't be lithium ion. They won't be on the grant. They won't have a 3-year warranty on the battery. They might have a year guarantee. There are bikes out there that will be cheaper, that's for sure, but they certainly won't be. They won't have the brand behind them like NIU. Some of them I've seen that are priced less, but you would have to put them together yourself. Might still be lead acid. I think the take-up, the actual initial take-up of this bike is reminds me more about the Super Soccos, because it's quite an instant acceleration. So it's not smooth as a belt-driven bike would be, but it's all about getting used to it, I guess. So on the flat, it's poodling along. It's no dramas about that. I've got my feet on these little sort of outrunners. You've still got other features that the bigger bikes have, like a USB charging point and for your phone. Got a bit of storage down here, as you saw. One interesting thing about this bike is a bit like the Super Soccos, is that you don't need the key to ride the bike. I mean, there's no key slots that you turn on an ignition. You can actually do it through either the remote or through a start button, which means you can actually start the bike, remotely. So all in all, it's not going to break any records. This bike, it's not going to be the fastest. As I said, its absolute top speed is going to be 27, 28. I think its real range is going to be sort of 20. We just set off there, and we're crawling to 28 here. It's not going to be anything like the M Plus or even the CUX, but it's what it's used for. If you want a bike that is something that you can just put on the back of a camper van, you're not going to be breaking any records and riding at particularly fast speed. You don't want to go up steep hills with it necessarily, because that's not going to be maybe a totally enjoyable experience. But if it's something that you might want to take with you on a holiday to take off the back of a camper van and just ride to the shops if you're on a campsite, pick up some supplies and go back again, or as I said, you're in a city and you just want to nip around to the shops or something, then it would do that job. And it still comes with all of the good things that the new has. It has the app, it has the 3-year warranty, it's lithium ion based, etc, etc. The one thing that I did mention on the static review, which I do like to point out, and is a feature of all of the news, they have the halo light, which is their sort of name for their circle light on the front of the bike. It faces forward. It's not connected to the handlebars like it would be on the Super Soccer CUX, for example, or any Super Soccer, which means your light is always going to be facing forward, even if you're going to be turning right or left. So at night you might think, okay, I'd rather have it actually pointing down the street I'm going into rather than pointing along the road. But it's not a biggie, but it is something that some of the other bikes have thought about. So as you can see, it did its task. It's got me there and back. I've done 6 miles and I've used a third of the battery, which is obviously getting on towards 18 miles for the full battery. So, but if that's all you need it for, then it'll be perfectly fine. If you wanted it to do 30-40 miles, then the M Plus would be that option, or the CUX. But that's 400-500 pounds more. So that's the way you've got to think about it. But if you want any more information, please feel free to contact us at green-mopeds.com. Thanks very much.